Have you ever felt that no matter what you do, there's still a part of you that hurts? Today, I'm going to show you what happens when you finally decide to look at that part and heal your inner child. Get ready, because by the end of this video, you could see your own story in a completely new light and truly transform your life. If you're searching for more than superficial answers and you're ready for deep change, stay with me until the end. What really happens when you decide to look inside and heal your inner child? This question sounds simple, but it's much deeper than most people realize. Most of us believe, or prefer to believe, that childhood is just a distant phase, diluted in old memories and buried under the weight of adult life. But what if those childhood wounds are just as alive as the choices you make today? What if that quiet pain that surfaces at night, that unexplained fear of rejection, that constant need for approval, are actually voices from a part of you that's never been truly heard? Imagine for a moment someone who looks successful from the outside, productive, respected, admired, but alone, out of view. They feel an emptiness they can't quite name. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's someone you know, someone who asks, "Why do I still feel incomplete even after everything I've achieved?" And the answer might not be hiding in your present, but in the past, pulsing below the surface. Carl Jung, pioneer of the human psyche, believed that inside every adult lives a child that never disappears with time. Not just static memories or vague echoes of emotion, but a living, active core that influences your feelings, choices, relationships, even how you see the world. Ignoring this child is like trying to hide the sun with a sieve. It's still there, just waiting for a way to shine through. Why do some wounds never really heal no matter how much time passes? Maybe because we never learned to listen. Maybe because we were taught that feeling is weakness, crying is ugly, depending on others is a sign of immaturity. Childhood becomes forbidden territory, a place to bury vulnerabilities, hoping we'll be accepted by a world that values strength, reason, and self-control. But there's a cost that's often too high. When you ignore your inner child, you carry with you defense mechanisms, social masks, patterns that keep you from your own essence. How many times have you felt a surge of anger during an argument that felt out of proportion? How often has fear of failure frozen you, like there was someone inside terrified of being punished just for trying? How many times have you sought approval from others you never found within yourself, or in the embrace of someone meant to care for you? Your inner child is the sensitive, creative, curious, and deeply vulnerable part of who you are. It holds your most genuine feelings, dreams untouched by routine, as well as the deepest fears and pains, old wounds hidden in the corners of your soul. And if you've never stopped to listen, rest assured, this part finds a way to make itself heard. Often it's what holds you back from setting boundaries, makes you accept less than you deserve, or leads you into relationships that replay cycles of abandonment, rejection, or humiliation. But what if you decided to change that story? What if, for the first time, you chose to look at this forgotten part of yourself, not as a problem to be fixed, but as an ally for your growth? The answer is surprising. It doesn't mean your traumas will vanish overnight or that pain disappears. It means what once held you back can become a source of creativity, and that small acts of self-compassion start to change how you relate to yourself and the world. Healing your inner child isn't weakness, and it isn't endless self-pity. It's above all an act of courage. It's admitting that within every adult, there's a story to rewrite, a voice to hear, and a pain that needs care. When you choose to give space to this part, you truly begin a journey toward authenticity, sensitivity, and real emotional freedom. This video is an invitation to take that courageous dive, to revisit the pages of your life honestly, and discover that by caring for your inner child, you're not just healing old wounds, you're opening the door to a new way of living. Are you ready to take this step? Join me on this practical examples. Many imagine that healing the inner child is just about revisiting old memories, analyzing past traumas, hoping that understanding the past makes pain disappear. But in reality, this process runs much deeper. Healing isn't forgetting, it's transforming. The real question isn't what happened to me, but how does what I went through live on inside me now? How does it shape my reactions, choices, and relationships. Maybe you recognize yourself in everyday situations, like when someone criticizes you, even constructively, and you instantly feel tightness in your chest, the urge to defend or escape. That's often your inner child reacting, reliving old experiences of rejection or invalidation, or that lingering feeling of never being enough, even when others praise you. Did someone in your past never truly recognize your effort or worth? In close relationships, these patterns are even clearer. The deeper the intimacy, the easier it is to see fears and insecurities rooted in childhood. Fear of abandonment, need to please, trouble setting boundaries. These have roots you may not see, but they shape your ability to love, trust, and connect every day. And it's not just major traumas. Seemingly small experiences, a harsh scolding, missing out on praise, a sudden family change, can leave marks that last a lifetime, shape beliefs, and influence behaviors. How many people do you know who, out of fear of disappointing others, end up stifling their own desires just to fit in? Healing your inner child is less about the past, more about recognizing how it echoes in your present. It's observing honestly where you self-sabotage, where you vanish, where you repeat cycles even while wanting change. It's noticing your emotions and instead of repressing them, asking, where is this coming from? What is this voice trying to show me? This self-reflection is an invitation to vulnerability. In a world obsessed with success, performance, and self-sufficiency, making space to really feel, without judgment, is revolutionary. It's choosing to step out of autopilot and listen truly to yourself. The process of healing begins when you name your feelings, without minimizing or rationalizing away your experience. Maybe you feel abandoned, insecure, afraid of mistakes, ashamed to ask for affection. Recognizing these feelings is the first step of transformation. Your inner child doesn't need to be perfect, just seen, heard, cared for. If you've never let yourself look at this pain, know this: healing requires acceptance. Owning that you have a sensitive side is not weakness, but true emotional maturity. Strength starts when you stop fighting yourself and integrate all your parts, including those that have long been repressed or ignored. With this new perspective, it's possible to create a more authentic life, build deeper connections, and experience the freedom that comes when you stop carrying past wounds as burdens and see them as sources of learning and transformation. Next, I'll show you how to create a safe space within yourself for your inner child, and how doing that can change lifelong patterns and transform the way you live and connect. Stay with me and get ready to take the next step on this journey. Original explanation. When we talk about the inner child archetype, many think of it as symbolic, a metaphor for childhood feelings or memories. But in depth psychology, this concept is much more. The inner child archetype is a living force, an emotional center that stays active throughout life, influencing your behavior, feelings, and decisions far more than you realize. Carl Jung, who first theorized archetypes, believed childhood doesn't disappear. It transforms and stays with us, shaping the mind from behind the scenes. For Jung, archetypes are universal patterns, images and ideas shared collectively by all humans, living in our subconscious. The inner child, in this sense, marks the start of our journey, the time when we're vulnerable, curious, creative, and highly sensitive to what we experience. But Jung wasn't alone in this. Donald Winnicott, a British psychoanalyst, talked about the true self and the false self. According to Winnicott, our authentic essence forms in childhood, but can be smothered by external demands or a lack of support. When that happens, we create masks and defenses, moving further from the inner child and our true self. He believed healing comes when we can create safety and acceptance for ourselves and in our relationships. Alice Miller, another key thinker, devoted her career to showing how denying childhood pain creates invisible but deeply harmful consequences. She argued that honestly facing your own past is the only way out of patterns of suffering. For Miller, your inner child needs to be recognized and validated, not ignored. Inside you, there are many faces to your inner child. The wounded child, carrying trauma, rejection, neglect. The curious child, source of creativity, exploration, spontaneity. The sacred child, keeper of dreams, hope, wonder. These aspects coexist, and each one plays a role in your life. Think of moments when you allow yourself to play, laugh without fear of judgment, create something new. That's your creative child leading the way. Now picture the paralyzing fear of criticism, the deep sadness after rejection, or the urge to accommodate everyone else. That's the wounded child, searching for safety and recognition. What's most valuable is understanding your inner child isn't just a memory, it's active. Anytime you feel deeply, face personal challenges, look for meaning. You're in touch with it. It asks profound questions. Am I enough? Does my pain matter? Can I be accepted as I am? Healing this part isn't about leaving the past behind. It's about letting it exist in the present, so it's no longer repressed. Sigmund Freud also said that unhealed childhood trauma shows up in adulthood as anxiety, compulsions, trouble with relationships. When we repress the inner child, our pain comes back as unnamed sadness, stress, or repeating self-destructive patterns. Boris Cyrulnik, a French psychiatrist who studies resilience, says we can rebuild our narratives and give new meaning to past pain as long as we face it compassionately. Acknowledging your inner child is the first step. Real healing only comes from acceptance, support, and transformation, not denial. The big insight is this: while we race to become perfect adults, we often deny, censor, or minimize our need for genuine emotion. But a healthy adult is one who integrates both strength and vulnerability, the creativity and the wounds of the inner child. When you listen, care for, and talk to this part, you'll discover deeper relationships, more authentic choices, and a richer emotional life. So understanding your inner child isn't just academic. It's a daily practice of self-compassion and courage to transform pain into growth. It's the starting point for a lighter, truer, more connected existence. In the next section, we'll explore how to spot the signals from your inner child, accept its different sides, and create an environment where it can flourish, not as a source of pain, but as an essential asset for your emotional transformation. Unmasking the defenses. It's both fascinating and a little heartbreaking to see how many masks we learn to wear just to hide from pain. Society teaches us early on to value strength, autonomy, success, performance, sensitivity, vulnerability, spontaneity. These traits get tucked away, hidden behind acceptable behaviors, usually because of fear of rejection or the need for approval. These masks aren't built overnight. They're layered through childhood and adolescence, from phrases like, "Swallow your tears," "Stop being so sensitive," "You have to be strong," "Never depend on anyone." Advice given with good intentions, but that plants the seeds of emotional suppression. Over time, we believe there's a right way to be an adult. And in that picture, adulthood means never showing weakness, never asking for help, always handling everything solo. But beneath the surface, this tough exterior is often hiding an inner child who learned early on that emotion was dangerous. The first mask, and probably the most common, is the mask of total independence. How often have you told yourself, "I don't need anyone"? Behind that message, there's almost always a fear of abandonment or helplessness, a way of protecting yourself from the pain of needing and being ignored, rejected, betrayed. The second mask is performance. We're living in a time when productivity, efficiency, and relentless work are demanded. We build a public-facing self designed to please, impress, hit goals, earn recognition. The cost? Emotional exhaustion. Beneath the drive for achievement, there's often a child who only got love when they measured up. Then there's the mask of control. When unpredictable feelings, sadness, anger, anxiety come up, you try to hold everything together, avoid vulnerability at all costs. Many adults think not feeling is the same as being mature. But avoiding emotion just builds up tension, fear, insecurity, resentment, which eventually explode when you least expect it. Another defense is constant caregiving for others, ignoring your own needs. Some people become saviors, always available for everyone else, putting themselves last to guarantee acceptance. At the core, this is usually an inner child who learned that they only deserve love if they're useful. There's also the mask of indifference or irony. a shield against emotional hurt. Some people become cold, distant, or sarcastic, laughing off their own pain, minimizing real feelings even to themselves. Indifference most of the time is a way to avoid feeling rejection again. These masks are survival mechanisms, built to endure tough environments. They made sense when you needed them, maybe even protected you from deep hurts. But as an adult, they become emotional prisons, fueling superficial relationships, isolation, and blocking real connection both with yourself and others. The biggest problem is that, as these defenses get more sophisticated, they pull you farther from your true self. We live just to fit in, reproducing behaviors, repeating messages that aren't even ours. We lose spontaneity, joy, genuine creativity, the hallmarks of the inner child. The result? Feelings of emptiness, burnout, anxiety, trouble recognizing your own worth, suffocating relationships, emotional dependencies, seeking something, recognition, success, affection, but never feeling fully satisfied. Because real satisfaction comes only when you integrate and accept your most vulnerable parts. Many people spend decades believing they need to be tougher, more productive, more invulnerable. But really what's missing is self-compassion, recognition of limits, listening to those deepest needs. True strength doesn't come from masks. It comes from showing up as you are, without expecting perfection, without needing the world's approval. Unmasking is tough but freeing. It takes courage to see behind your functionality and admit, inside, there's a child who just wants to be heard, cared for, respected. When you do this, you create real room for authenticity and build deeper relationships and feel a lightness you may have thought impossible. Here's my invitation. Look at your masks with kindness, not blame. Notice those defenses. They served you, but maybe now it's time to let them go. Welcoming your inner child means dropping the armor and living for real. Up next, let's talk about how to create a safe internal space for your child. Transforming pain into power, trauma into growth, repression into emotional freedom. Stick with me on this journey. Once you see the masks that keep you from your essence, the big question is, how do you start to heal your inner child? More than theory, healing depends on daily choices, internal shifts, and real-life practices, things anyone can do no matter what you've been through. Healing isn't fixing. It means caring, supporting, validating, above all, practicing real listening and kindness to yourself. Maybe this is the first time you're invited to see your story without condemnation or explanation. So the first step is real listening. Practice 1. The Welcome Journal. Set aside time each day, morning or night is fine, to write openly about your feelings, fears, and wishes. Don't chase right answers or block out negative thoughts or feelings. Let your inner child speak, even if it sounds silly or repetitive. Ask yourself, what would you like to tell me today? Let whatever comes up surface. That's how you build connection and self-compassion. Practice 2. Write letters to your younger self. Write a letter to your childhood self, using words of support, understanding, and kindness. Say things you wish you'd heard. You matter. Your pain makes sense. I see you. Reread whenever you need emotional support or to reconnect to your truth. Practice 3. Mindful presence. Life is busy and anxious, so make a few minutes daily just to breathe and observe your emotions, not to control them. Imagine your inner child sitting beside you. Ask how they feel, and just listen. No judgment, no rush to change. Reparenting. Healing means becoming the adult your child needed. Reparenting is consciously choosing to be your own parent, offering protection, healthy boundaries, emotional safety, and unconditional love. When you feel vulnerable, instead of pushing it down, ask, how can I care for myself now? Use supportive language. Seek nurturing environments. Say no when you're getting hurt just to please someone. Practice 4. Creative rituals. Make time to reconnect with the joy and creativity of childhood. Listen to music you loved as a kid, paint, dance alone, watch favorite old shows. Your inner child blossoms with play, fun, and freedom. Bring gentle rituals back into your life. Practice 5. Conscious self-care. Notice your basic needs: rest, food, fun, safety, and really act on them. Treat your body like a child's: gentle hugs, slow walks, relaxing baths, honoring your limits. Self-care isn't just luxury, it's emotional survival. Practice 6. Healthy boundaries. If you have trouble saying no, start practicing with everyday situations. Say no to draining invites, unfair demands, toxic relationships. Each boundary is a message to your inner child. Here, you're safe. I protect you. Practice 7. Therapy, support groups, real friends. Professional help is always good, especially for deep trauma or repeated patterns. But healing also comes from connections, true friends, honest conversations, support groups, places where your sensitive self can exist without judgment. And remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. Some days will be tough. There'll be doubts and setbacks. It's all part of it. And every time you choose support over rejection, you build a stronger foundation for living. By integrating these practices, you're not just healing your own wounds. You become an agent of change for others. Your inner child is a wellspring of creativity, vitality, and truth. Give it space to be heard, cared for, and to flourish. Next, let's reflect on how this changes your relationships, your work, your mental health, and opens the door to a lighter, freer, more genuine life. Transformation. When you choose to welcome and integrate your inner child, something powerful unfolds. These aren't just small inner shifts, but visible changes in every part of your life. Picture waking up and realizing that constant anxiety, that perpetual sense of something missing, is giving way to silent peace. Problems don't just disappear, but now you know where unease comes from, and you're willing to embrace it with compassion. The first transformation you'll notice is in your relationship with yourself. Many people spend years as their own worst critics, demanding perfection, punishing every flaw. When you integrate your inner child, your inner dialogue transforms. More kindness, more patience, less pressure to be perfect, more willingness to be genuine. Instead of trying to fit prescribed molds, you tune into what you truly need and want. Relationships change dramatically. Before, maybe you fell into patterns of emotional dependence, tried to compensate for a lack, or repeated cycles of pain. But as you care for your inner child, you learn to set boundaries, spot toxic partners, and honor authentic connection, no longer needing to betray yourself to be loved. Relationships built on realness are deeper, steadier, and free. Remarkably, your creativity and work life shift too. A healed child is the source of intuition, invention, joyful risk-taking. You start proposing new ideas, thinking outside the box, learning from mistakes. Without the paralyzing fear of being judged, you find joy in small wins, celebrate your progress, and see mistakes as the path to growth, not as personal catastrophes. Even your body reaps the benefits. Emotional suppression is linked to chronic pain, insomnia, fatigue, eating difficulties. Healing brings balance. You respect your body's limits, honor rest and nourishment, value joyful movement. These choices amplify your energy. Mental health deepens. Ongoing anxiety, depression, compulsive behaviors, and emptiness often stem from unhealed childhood pain. With practice, self-acceptance cuts self-sabotage, builds confidence, and fosters moments of real happiness, even during tough times. Visualize this. Your life is a dark, old house with locked rooms. Piece by piece, as you let your inner child show itself, the doors open, light pours in, and you finally see there was always space for new growth. Bad memories stop being tormentors and become stories you can understand and reframe. For example, a person afraid to pursue dreams, always worried they'll fail. By affirming the wounded child who never felt valued, they begin to try, fail, and grow without needing to be perfect. Or someone cycling through painful relationships, by facing their old fear of abandonment and nurturing that vulnerability, they choose healthier partners, value their alone time, and realize their most essential company is their own. Embracing your inner child is rediscovering meaning. You reclaim curiosity, wonder, the drive to explore simple joys, like you did as a child. You realize you don't need to compete or seek constant outside affirmation. The secret is in self-acceptance and loving your story. Those who make this journey frequently report greater authenticity in choices, relationships with less drama and deeper bonds, social anxiety fading, new projects and dreams coming alive, playfulness, creativity and invention, less guilt and shame, more courage to be vulnerable and ask for support. Transformation means freedom, freedom to feel, grow, fail, and live lightly. Embracing your inner child doesn't make you perfect, it makes you whole. As a final thought, I invite you, look at yourself tenderly. Give yourself a shot at this journey, let down the masks, listen to your pain, celebrate genuine laughter. Meeting your inner child can be the very beginning of a change from within, one that no one can take away. I'd like to ask you for one last exercise. Look at your story with more kindness than you ever have before. Let yourself feel all of it with compassion, not guilt. Know that every pain you carry is a signal, not weakness, an invitation to healing. If any part of this video spoke to you, share in the comments below. What was the moment in your life when you realized your inner child needed to be heard? Your story could inspire and help others walking this path. You're not alone on this journey. If you found this content meaningful, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone, a friend, a family member, someone who might need a new perspective too. Together, we can build a supportive healing network. To keep getting deep insights, tools, and conversations about psychology, self-care, and emotional growth, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every week, you'll find a safe space to heal, grow, and dive deep into yourself. Remember, healing your inner child is a lifelong journey. It's courage, it's presence, it's tenderness with your own vulnerabilities. With every step, you make a freer, more authentic life possible. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. Transformation doesn't end here. It starts each time you choose to care for yourself. See you in the next video as we keep growing together.